As many FPS players will know, China is number one. And now it would seem that could also be true of Age of Empires 4. As you'll most likely be aware, there was a massive patch released for AOE 4 last week. And as the dust settles and the big brain knowers figure things out, it's starting to look as if China is the big winner in all of this. I'm All Fun and James Zero, and today I'll be taking a look at one of the newest contenders for best civ in AOE 4. China is known for its late game. With their strong unique units, dominant siege weapons and unique dynasty mechanics, they are unstoppable in the Imperial Age. The catch was that the Chinese early game was relatively weak with little in the way of early game strengths. However, that seems to have all changed with the recent winter update. To keep things short and sweet, the Chinese had various units buffed, whilst early ram rush strategies were directly nerfed. Naturally, this means that they are much more likely to survive into the late game where they really start to shine. So with that in mind, today we're going to take a look at a build order used by the Viper in one of his latest Chinese matches. For anyone who doesn't know, the Viper is pretty much the meme of the guy sitting on his own massive brain. He's the winner of the first major AOE 4 tournament, held the top AOE 4 ladder spot for a couple of weeks, and is widely considered to be the best AOE 2 player in the world. This build provides you with a strong economic platform that will allow you to go into the later stages of the game with plenty of resources behind you. Alternatively, if you're facing pressure in the early and mid game, you can pump out feudal age units like the Juggernaut with ease. For those who want to have it in writing, I've typed up the exact build order and will post it in a comment below this video. Fair warning though, this build is quite micro intensive and is vulnerable to early game aggression, so it's best used on maps like Hill and Dale where you can easily prevent early raids with walls. So without further ado, let's look at a replay where I employed this build order myself. I'm going to refer to villagers by their number, so the first villager from the TC is number 7 because you start with 6 already, and the villager after that is number 8, and so on and so forth. So the build order. Starting 6 villagers go to sheep, villager number 7 to sheep, villagers 8, 9 and 10 to gold. One of the gold villagers will need to build a house. Villager 11 to sheep. Villager 12 goes to make a mill on the nearest deer or berries. Remember to move the sheep to the mill once you have finished it. Villager number 13 makes the Imperial Academy with help from 3 of the food villagers. Professional scouts need to be researched as soon as possible, and it costs 75 wood and 275 gold. Villagers number 14 and number 15 go to the straggler tree near your town centre. 2 from the Imperial Academy go to wood as it gets close to finishing. Villager number 16 to gold and 1 from wood to gold. When the Imperial Academy finishes, the remaining 2 villagers go back to food. Villager number 17 goes to gold. After villager number 17, you will produce an Imperial Official who will supervise the food production and occasionally collect taxes depending on how confident you are in your micromanaging. After the Imperial Official, produce a second scout to help with the deer collecting. Villager number 18 goes to wood. 2 villagers from gold move over to wood. Villagers 19, 20 and 21 are sent to food. 2 from wood begin constructing the Barbican, usually on your gold or other vulnerable resources. Next unit from the town centre is the second Imperial Official who will be continuously collecting taxes. Once you're in the Song Dynasty, produce a blacksmith and at least 1 military building. Remember that Imperial Officials can supervise both of these buildings for massively increased production rates. Going into the late game, you want to aim for a 3-2-2 villager ratio, food, wood, gold. So for every 3 food villagers, there are 2 wood villagers and 2 gold villagers, plus a couple extra on stone for defensive buildings. At this point, you'll likely be close to Castle Age, and depending on what your opponent is doing, you should react accordingly. If you're facing early aggression, stay in Feudal Age a bit longer and build up a defensive army. If you're facing a more passive opponent, then think about a second town centre and get into Castle Age as soon as possible so you can start producing buffed siege units and some sort of meat shield to protect them. If you get to the Imperial Age, you're very likely to win, as once you have upgraded your bombards, it is very difficult to stop them. I've been All Fun and James Zero, and hopefully this build was of use to you. If it was, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you for watching.